Hey, what's going on, Podcast Nation? This is Jason Harris here, and thank you for joining me on another episode of the Matador Yachtcast. Yes, that's what I said, Yachtcast. Why is it a Yachtcast? Because we are here in sunny Tampa, Florida, right outside of the Digital Dealer Conference, where I get to interview some amazing guests on a big old boat.
Welcome to the Matador Yachtcast. Tune in for everything you need to know to stay in the know regarding the automotive industry. Here's your host, Jason Harris.
This is going to be fun. Hey, I got some great people with me today. I have the one, the only, the oh-so-famous Mr. Justin Friend with Dealer United. Justin, what's going on? How you doing, man?
Good. How are you?
Thanks for hanging out with us. I appreciate it.
Happy to be here, man. Happy to be here.
I have the infamous. You look infamous, by the way, Michael.
I appreciate
you kind of have that
Thank
look.
you.
That's I'm an infamous individual. I have Michael Barich with Fixed Ops, man. How you doing?
Oh man, I couldn't be happier to be here. Thank you so much for having us.
We're gonna have fun. And then I have the oh so famous, the one and only Mr. Jim Thompson. Jim, how you doing?
I'm lovely, Jason. How are you?
I'm doing good, man. We're going to have a lot of fun. Hey, before we get into our conversation today, I love kicking off these podcasts with little origin stories. A, because I'm always fascinated how people get started in this crazy little world we call the automotive industry. So, Justin, I'll start with you, and I'll kind of work my way down. Justin, how did you get started in the automotive industry?
So it's been about 22 years that I've been in automotive at this point. I actually started in fitness, and I managed a location that sold home fitness equipment, and a customer of mine had a automotive direct marketing business. And over the course of a few transactions, he recruited me on board. I was with that organization for about 16 and a half years, became a partner. From there, our company was acquired by a company called Auto Alert. Worked with Auto Alert from 2016 to 2019, and then I had the opportunity to come join the team here at Dealers United, and it's been fantastic ever since. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, no one ever wakes up one day and goes, you know what? Sounds like a good idea. I should go to the automotive industry. That sounds amazing, But I'm glad you stumbled your way into it, Justin. Thank you, Michael. How
Absolutely.
did you get started in this business?
Man, great question. So I was in high school and ended up taking my first job as an auto parts driver, high level, delivered your rotors on time type of guy, and then got invited to the dealership world by a Nissan parts manager, and he said, would you like to come work with me? And I said, unfortunately, I don't know anything about cars. And he said, oh, don't worry about it, I'll teach you. And 4 weeks later, he got fired. So I had to learn the parts world trial by fire, and it was probably one of the biggest blessings in my career. From there, I became a fixed ops director, NADA graduate, and just a connoisseur of the automotive industry, especially fixed ops, but I'm not prejudiced against the variable guys either.
Okay, we're not prejudiced. Jim, for yourself, how did you get started in this business?
Well, it goes back to high school for me as well, Jason. My best friend's dad had a side hustle rebuilding cars when I was in high school, mostly sports cars. So that was interesting to me. So I thought, well, I got into college and said, well, wait a minute, if he could do it, I've learned a lot. I think I could too. So started buying and selling cars, went to the local bank, got a loan. By the time I graduated, I had a $100,000 line of credit, and was running my gig. And I've been in business since 1998 in Metro Atlanta.
That's awesome. That is awesome. Yeah, sports cars, definitely. I think we all kind of get sucked into them, Mine was Hot Wheels. That's really kind of where my love started, right? I actually, my very first business was called Big J's Pit Stop. I was about 14 years old, and I would cart up just cases and cases of Hot Wheels, and I would sell them at the local drag strip during race weekends, and to keep all the kids occupied, right? And so, it gets in your blood, you just can't get it out. Hey, we got a really cool conversation today. I think it's an awesome topic. We're going to talk about, what is the VIP experience, the white glove experience, the concierge. From a marketing perspective, I think we found every single word we could ever possibly use to describe this experience. But what is it really? I mean, from a technology perspective, from a sales perspective, from a fix ops perspective, I'd love to kind of get your guys' thoughts, and we'll just kind of keep rolling with it. Justin, I'll start with you, and I'll work my way down to Jim.
So, VIP, concierge, I think the key is about the customer journey and making sure that the customer, whether they're going to transact in service or parts or sales, has a clear path. They know who the dealership is. They know about the dealership. Why should they trust that dealership? And then ultimately it's about making the journey as frictionless as possible for that consumer to transact again, whether it's parts, whether it's service, whether it's vehicle acquisition, whether it's sales. It's just about treating that customer in the best and easiest way possible for them through that journey.
Easy kind of being that key word, right? I mean, that's when I think of anything, if I think of a concierge or a VIP, that's probably one of the first things I go to. It's going to be easy, right? So I'd love to hear your kind of thoughts, Michael, especially from the parts and fix ops side. Like, we love kind of playing that word, like get your VIP service experience today. But what does that actually mean? What's your thoughts on this?
Yeah, for me, the summary of all that's retention.
Okay.
And I just sat through a seminar and listened to a couple of people talk about the service experience and customers not understanding what we're sharing with them, while video content is relevant and prevalent today. But at the end of the day, the retention metric is a dealership metric. It's called service retention, and then you have a sales market share, right? But the dealership success factor is truly measured on retention, and it shouldn't be a fixed ops term. It should be a dealership term, because we have to be in the business to retain customers.
Yes.
Forget the surveys, forget all of that crap that the manufacturers send out to get information from the customers to grade you on, right? And instead of understanding that the true metric is, how many of my customers do I retain today? Yes. How many customers did I sell a car to? How many customers did I service a car with? And then how many of those customers did I get to come back to my dealership? For me, anyway, that's the ultimate key performance indicator.
Well, and that makes a lot of sense. I mean, it's kind of identifying what the ultimate goal is, and then working backwards to create the experience that's ultimately going to get us there. But just to create an experience without having that defined goal in front of you, you're just doing it for the sake of doing it. And that's where I find kind of inconsistencies. Sometimes we'll execute on the experience, sometimes we won't execute on the experience. But that's a great point. Thank you, Michael. Jim, for yourself, when you hear that concierge, that VIP experience, what does that mean to you?
Well, first of all, I think that a concierge or a VIP experience has to be a guided experience by someone at the dealership.
I like that.
It has to be non-salesy and not adversarial. So you listen to your customers' needs and you try to meet those, and you leverage your industry expertise and knowledge and make life easier for them. So I like to think of it, it's not the hotel experience, like you think of a concierge at a hotel.
Well, and that you hear that sometimes in these sessions, right? Like we have to be the Hilton, or we have to be we got to be the Apple of experiences.
Now for me, it is more like the Apple Store experience,
okay.
The Genius Bar, if you will.
Okay, there we go.
Somebody's got an Apple product, they have a problem, and they need it fixed. So they go to the Genius Bar, and magically their problem's solved. That's what a VIP experience is for me.
I think that makes a lot of sense. But I mean, to get to that type of experience, and I think for a lot of dealers out there that are watching and listening right now, I mean that's the holy grail, right? I mean that's you look at all of our Google reviews, I mean that's them telling us how well we actually executed on the experience, right? And I think a lot of people out there don't realize that the experience already exists. Like the experience is the collective interaction of what happens at a dealership, but if you don't give it direction, well, it's just going to go wherever you want. So I guess that's kind of my next question then for you guys. What are your thoughts of how do we give that customer experience direction so that it's consistently executed? Justin, I'll start with you and I'll kind of work my way down.
Well, I mean, I think you raise a good point, and quite frankly, these guys working in store are probably going to have better insight than I will. I have no issue saying that, but speaking as a consumer and a marketing expert, I think so much of it is about education and letting them know what to expect and what that experience. Again, we talked about easy,
yes.
We talked about retention. A lot of that is just educating the consumer, not necessarily to your point about hey, you're going to get a survey, but what should that standard of excellence be? What should you expect? So, using the example of the Apple Store, when you walk into the Apple Store and you go to the Genius Bar, you have a predetermined understanding of kind of what that experience should be like. So I think if we're educating the local communities and educating our consumers about what that's going to be, they should have a pretty good understanding of what to expect from each individual dealership.
And I think from a marketing strategy, that makes a whole lot of sense, right? I mean, I think that too often I see agencies that will pump something out there that's just like white glove, concierge experience.
Tell me what it means.
But that's it. See, they'll just kind of do that, but they don't go into it. It's not necessarily what we do; it's why we do it, the way we do it, that really kind of defines it. Michael, I'd kind of love to get your thoughts of like how do we kind of consistently execute this?
Well, we keep talking about like a service experience or a sales experience, but at the end of the day, aren't we in the hospitality industry no different than the people right across the street?
Good point.
Everybody here today holding a mic up, we're all customers, right? We have a choice on where we want to do business and who we want to spend our hard-earned money with. And so I think it's about trust. I think it's about transparency. I think from a leader standpoint, we have to talk about culture and vision. And then the biggest word for me is accountability, right?
Yes.
So I need to onboard people properly. I need to train them continuously, and then I need to hold them accountable for the expectations that I desire. And it's not about my desire as a leader, it's about what the customer desires.
Mm-hmm. I like that. No, that's a good point. Like, if we put that customer, at the center of it, all right, then it's easiest for to make the decisions. But when we put ourselves at the center of it, right, and we put them through a process that we decided, not a process that they want to do. And I think, I will say of the last 24 months, I think that's been a fundamental shift. All right, the customer is now telling us what kind of experience that they want. And it's our responsibility now to meet them at their needs, not necessarily ours. Hopefully we'll keep that going, though. But Jim, I'd love to kind of get your thoughts.
Can I jump in real quick?
Man.
When you mentioned the last 24 months, it's only because we've been paying attention. They've been telling us this for the last 50 years.
Good point, man.
so
there you go. Mic drop. There we go.
Finally, they're listening, right? All of a sudden, I have big ears.
That's a very good point. Jim, for yourself, how do we kind of consistently execute this?
Well, as a dealer, we all have inventory, and our job is to move that inventory, although we have less inventory than we've ever had. So when we get a lead, we want to sell the customer a car we have in stock today.
Yes.
Okay. But unfortunately, we lose somewhere around 90% of our leads. When I say lose, they don't purchase from us for some reason. And I believe there's a significant percentage of those leads that are qualified and will buy a car somewhere. So if they don't buy from us, there's only two reasons. Either we don't have the exact car they want in stock, or they think they can get a better deal somewhere else. And when I say a concierge experience, if you had someone in your dealership that could take that customer that you can't close with your traditional sales process and explore the path, other options for them, because customers are now more open to outside the box experiences than they've ever been on purchasing a car.
Yes.
So if you can show them, hey, we don't have that exact BMW X5 with a third row seat and a blind spot, package, but we can buy it for you, and here's some options at auctions that we could specifically buy that car exactly as you want it equipped, and show that to them. And if they come back and as you walk down that path, they say, well, that's great, but I found a great deal on Car Gurus. It says it's a great deal, and it's got to be a great deal. It says great deal.
100%.
So, but that dealer adds $5,000 in add-on fees, or the car's misrepresented. You need to share that with the consumer.
Yes.
So you become their advisor, educator, guide, if you will, instead of an adversarial salesperson.
I like that. And you know what? It's kind of bleeding into kind of my next question with you guys is around culture. Because it sounds like if we can kind of consistently execute some of the experiences you guys are kind of identifying here, that kind of bleeds into kind of the culture of the company. Or maybe it is the culture that is the glue that continues to stick it all together. Now, I mean, my marketing brain kicks in, and I'm sure Justin kind of yours does too, right? Because it's like, how do I market that, So I'm thinking kind of from like a marketing culture perspective, all right? How do we create this experience, and it's not just for us, but it's for our staff, and they kind of get behind it, right? I find sometimes that we put out these we define what the customer experience is. Then we go to our marketing agency and say, all right, guys, I got an idea. We're going to do this, right? And the marketing agency goes, yeah, that sounds good. We should totally do that. And then you bring it back to your staff. You're like, oh shit, boss, seriously, man? Like you want to do a what? 24-hour what? Huh? Oh, so like how? I guess that'll be kind of my question. It's like, how do we connect the dots? I think from what we want to give our customers the experience, but then also what our staff can execute. From a culture perspective. And I'd love to kind of get your thoughts, Justin. I'll work my way down.
I mean, for me, it's a lot of the things we've already talked about. It's education, internal,
Yes.
right? Make sure your staff knows what's going on.
So does that become the marketing then? Like,
I mean, it could.
Yeah?
I mean, it depends. I think it depends on who's, kind of running the show. I think far too often there is a drop-off of communication. The waterfall stops, and the staff doesn't know what's happening and what's expected of them going into accountability. And then you've got a customer that walks in, hey, I heard about this great whatever, and the salesperson unfortunately isn't educated to know exactly what's going on.
Yes.
So I think that's part of it. From a culture perspective, I think listen to your staff. What do they feel will be helpful? What do they feel their customers, the people that they talk to every single day, what are the things that they want to do and try to execute? Ultimately I think a lot of it is about communication and just understanding what the team thinks will work.
I think it's a great point. And like when I think of fix ops, and when I talk to service managers and service departments about experiences, they're like, yeah, experience, yeah. Can I answer the phone now? Okay. What do I need to tell you right now so that I can go answer the bloody phone? Right? Excuse me. But man, it's hard, right? I mean, just talk about with sales, there's a bit of a time. There's a time element to it, right? I can kind of slow down, speed up, but with the fix ops, it has got one speed, and it's at that one speed all the time. So from a culture perspective, how do we maintain that buy-in from our staff to consistently execute on that experience? I'd love to get your thoughts, Michael.
Jason, that's a really great question, and I think there's a lot of talk out there today that culture starts from the top down, whether you're a dealer, principal, or general manager. But for me, as a fixed ops director, culture is a byproduct of my vision, and my vision might be different than my general managers or my dealers, and it's only because we're on two different sides of the house. And I'm not saying there's a wall that separates us, but I'm saying we do speak two different languages. The variable side and the fixed side speak and are identified by different metrics instead of the totality of the success of the entire dealership. Just my opinion.
No, I completely agree with you, and that's a great point. Jim, for yourself, that bleed over from culture to experience, like how do you kind of bake those two together?
Pay plan
All right.
has a lot to do with it as well. You can come and say, we need to do this, and this is why we need to do it, and this is the customer experience the consumer needs to have. You have to be consumer-centric. Everyone says, this is what we need to do. But your pay plan is not optimized for the staff to do that, then they're not going to do it, in my opinion.
Oh, that's a good point. That's a really good point. If we're asking them to, if the experience is not necessarily tied into their pay plans, are they really going to consistently execute that? That's actually a really good point. Michael, do you feel the same on the fixed ops side?
Absolutely. I think in the absence of having a strong leadership team, the pay plan becomes a job description. So what do you want to deliver to your customers, and are you catering pay plans that are centered around that? And for me, I think that I've always kind of been in the forefront of fixed ops by doing things differently than most, and maybe I'm speaking differently than most from the fixed ops side. But at the end of the day, it goes back to the same metric I mentioned previously: retention, retention, and retention. Because our success in the dealership world, whether it's on the marketing side or the variable side, is people and process. So good people and good processes deliver a high level of customer satisfaction. And then those same good people and good processes with happy customers deliver a high level of employee satisfaction. And that's where the magic starts in the dealership world, because you reduce turnover and increase profitability as a byproduct organically. If we were doing SEO content right here, right now.
But no, it's a very, very good point. Look, guys, I know we're getting towards the tail end of our time today, but I did want to talk a little bit about Digital Dealer. Look, we're here, sunny Florida. There's an amazing conference going on right now, and I out of all the conferences, I do really kind of admire Digital Dealer because I think they do an amazing job of bringing a great list of vendors and dealer people and OEMs and speaking, and I find to be very actionable items, at a lot of these sessions. For people that kind of attend events like these, which I know you guys do, all right, what's maybe the one thing you kind of hope someone kind of takes back from an event like this, back to their dealership and starts executing now, because there's just so much to do. But I'm curious, like right now, what do you hope someone takes away from something like this? Justin, I'll start with you and I'll work my way down.
I mean, good question, Jason. Maybe a bit of a soft answer, but like ideas, right? I think that's what, you're coming here, if you're looking for a platform, you're looking for a piece of software, you're looking for a product. Can you leave this with the idea of whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish to go back and implement, whether it's fixed ops, whether it's marketing, whether it's sales, whether it's retention, or all of the above? Can you leave this, trade show with the education and the idea that you came in looking for? Obviously, friendship, camaraderie, like those are also the amazing byproducts of this, fantastic show and the industry that we're in. But that would be my 2 cents for you.
That's awesome. Michael, what would you say for people out there watching and listening? Which will you hope they will take back and start executing?
Digital presence. This is Digital Dealer. And as a fixed ops guy, I've been enamored in the digital world for like the last 4 or 5 years. So no one would ever say that COVID and the pandemic was a good thing, but it gave guys like me an opportunity to pivot in my business sense, where I sent out paper mailers, paper reminders, paper, your special order parts arrived. And I've changed my strategy to really target the digital world. And how many dealers actually know what their conversion rates are on the dealer's website, or how many Google reviews, or how many digital ads you placed on your Google My Business or Google Business profile page, and how many views it got, right? So for me, it's all about adapting to the digital world, and this is my first Digital Dealer Conference, and I couldn't be happier than I am today to be here with you all right now. Thank you.
Awesome. It was a great point, even with the flying helicopter going over our head. It's my ride. It's actually just parking on the other side of the yacht. I got another meeting. No, I'm just kidding.
Picking us
better
both
wrap it
up.
up.
Yeah, we're gonna remember. Jim, for yourself, what do you think one takeaway that you really hope people bring back to their dealerships and start executing?
I think if they take away one thing they actually implement and not just write down.
Ah, there you go. I like that.
Because I've been coming to Digital Dealer as a dealer for years, and I'm as guilty as anyone. I'll have a notebook full of notes or on my phone, and you end back at the dealership, and a week goes by, 2 weeks, a month, and then you really try to, what am I doing? Not what I learned, but without action, knowledge isn't much.
Yes.
So one
100%.
thing that you put into action.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I know we're getting towards the end, but since I have the three of you guys up here, I have a question I want to ask, because I think this is a unique opportunity to ask someone from the marketing side, someone from the fix op side, and someone from the sales side. Right now, getting into the automotive industry doesn't seem to be overly appealing to a lot. Individuals out there, but I believe this is one of the best industries ever to be in. For anybody out there that might be watching or listening and thinking about maybe getting into the marketing or the fix ops or the sales side of the business, what advice do you have for them? Justin, I'll start with you and I'll work my way down, Jim.
For me, Jason, this is the most exciting industry out there. There are constant changes, challenges, adaptation. Like I said, I've been in automotive marketing for 22 years. I can't envision myself doing anything else. It's exciting. It's rewarding. You get challenged every day. It's fantastic.
It is. It is such a rewarding industry, and marketing is such a cool place to go into right now because so many things have changed.
Yeah,
There's we're looking for people to come and disrupt this stuff, right? Hey, Michael, for yourself, what advice would you give someone who's interested in maybe getting into the parts or the service side of the business?
I couldn't encourage it more. As a 30-year veteran I don't think I could have chosen a better industry because there's two main constants in our business. It's constant change and continuous education. And if you're feeding your mind and feeding your brain, you're growing. And as an employee, as a business owner, what better influence could you have but to continue to grow as a person on this journey? I'm sitting here with all three of you as a fixed ops guy, and we're talking variable and fixed. Life is good, man.
Life is good. Life is good. That is right. You know, that's true. When I think of all three of the departments we have represented here, you know, usually they're on silos or possibly islands, you know, and sometimes the communication is just like smoke signals, like, hey, how's it going? You know, but hey, Jim, for yourself, for anybody that's thinking about getting into the sales side of the automotive industry, what advice would you have for them right now?
Well, let me talk about the Gallup poll for a moment.
All right.
All right. So every year the Gallup poll does a study on honesty and ethics among professions. So it ranks different professions from the most trusted to the least trusted. And they've been doing this study for over 40 years. And every year consistently nurses rank at the top with an index score usually in the low 80s. Moving on down the ladder, you have, way on down the ladder, attorneys. Okay. Even further down the ladder, we have advertising people, you know, marketing guys. But we're still not there yet. Mm-hmm. Let's go even a little further down, and we've got car salespeople. And they have an index score of 8.
Oh, jeez.
So the only thing worse than a car salesperson in a most recent Gallup poll survey was a member of Congress, and they got a 6. So now you say, well, why would I want to get in the car business? Because you have a very low bar to be excellent.
No, okay, yes.
You know?
I couldn't agree more. There's nothing but opportunity from there,
yeah,
right?
I mean, look at your upside. You know, you're a decent guy or woman, I mean, and you're honest and you're ethical, you can be a standout all-star in this industry.
Very good point.
Great point.
I love it. Hey, guys, this has been so much fun. I really appreciate you guys coming out, spending some time, and doing this. This was a lot of fun. Thanks, guys. You have yourself an amazing day, all right?
Thank you,
man.
Jason.
Thank you, Jason.
Appreciate it,
brother.
Thanks for tuning in to the Matador Yachtcast with your host, Jason Harris. Don't want to miss new content? Be sure to check out the full podcast library at matador.ai to stay in the know. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Happy podcasting.